Welcome to this deep dive into the 2025 Rome Open. We've got quite a bit of tennis news and discussion to sort of unpack here.
Yeah, lots happening.
Our mission really is to cut through it all and bring you the key stories, the main insights coming out of the tournament.
Exactly. We've been looking at, everything match results, what players are saying, the tournament dynamics, even some behind-the-scenes stuff with the WTA Tour.
So yeah, the goal is just to give you a clear, engaging picture of what's really going on in Rome. We want to highlight the moments that matter, maybe what they mean going forward, without getting totally bogged down in, every single detail.
That's good.
Okay, let's dive right in. There's a situation that's definitely stirred up some conversation. Marta Kostyuk's handshake with Daria Kasatkina.
Ah, yes, this one. It's got layers. So Kostyuk won the match, 6-4, 6-2, to get into the last 32. But the real focus was after the match, the handshake happened. And, this is noteworthy because Marta and other Ukrainian players like Svitolina, they'd stopped shaking hands with Russian and Belarusian opponents after the war started.
Exactly. Now, here's where it gets complicated, isn't it? Kasatkina, she was born in Russia, but now she represents Australia. And she's also, spoken out quite publicly against the war. Plus, she's faced issues back in Russia because of her sexual orientation.
Right. So it really looks like Kostyuk's decision, the handshake, kind of acknowledges Kasatkina's specific situation there.
Yeah, seems like it. But the reaction online, on X, for example, was pretty divided, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. You had some fans calling Kostyuk a hypocrite. Some were saying, oh, she only shook hands because Kasatkina represents Australia now, or, only because she won the match.
So seeing it as a break from her established stance.
Yeah. But then you also had a lot of people pushing back on that, pointing out Kasatkina's consistent anti-war position, the potential trouble she faces for it, basically arguing that in this context, the handshake actually made sense. Like, it was acknowledging her unique, difficult position.
It's fascinating when you compare it, like you said, the layers. What about other Russian-born players who've switched nationalities? You mentioned Evanesian for Armenia, Gracheva for France.
Exactly. They haven't received handshakes, even though, they haven't exactly come out supporting the war either. They just haven't spoken about it much publicly.
So it really highlights that Kasatkina's situation is being treated differently.
Yeah, it seems her outspoken stance against the war is the crucial factor here. It's not just about the passport change.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. A really big result on the court. Iga Swiatek, the defending champ, is out early.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Beaten by Danielle Collins, 6-1, 7-5. And this loss, it kind of continues a bit of a concerning trend for Swiatek recently, these earlier than hoped for exits.
Makes you wonder if maybe opponents are figuring things out against her.
Could be. And the dynamic with Collins, that adds another layer, doesn't it?
Right. Collins has, let's say, been pretty open about her thoughts on Swiatek in the past. And remember that very quick handshake at the United Cup.
Oh, yeah, definitely memorable. So this wasn't just, a standard match. For Collins, this win might feel particularly sweet.
But looking at the bigger picture, Swiatek losing has major ranking implications.
Huge. She's going to drop potentially, down to number 4.
Wow.
Which means Coco Gauff is set to become world number 2, and Jessica Pegula moves up as well.
So it's a real shakeup at the top. It feels like that sort of, or Swiatek had, especially on clay, that feeling of inevitability. Maybe he's being challenged more now.
It certainly seems that way. And the fact she hasn't actually won a title in the last 12 months, that adds to it. Maybe holding that top spot is just getting tougher and tougher in this era.
Yeah, maybe the pressure, the consistency needed, it's immense.
For sure. And speaking of the rankings battle, Jessica Pegula also bowed out early in Rome.
Right, she lost to Elise Mertens, 7-5, 6-1. Now, Mertens, she actually has a pretty good record against Pegula, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. A strong head-to-head. So, maybe not a total shocker. Some styles just match up well.
Yeah, Mertens seems to have a game that can, disrupt Pegula.
Definitely. But interestingly, even with this loss, Pegula's ranking is likely going up probably to world number 3.
Okay, how does that work? Losing but climbing.
It's all about the points system, right? You defend points from the previous year. Pegula didn't have a massive clay swing last year, point-wise, so she wasn't defending a huge amount here. Losing early doesn't hurt her as much as it might otherwise.
Gotcha. So losing hurts less if you didn't have many points to defend anyway. Makes sense.
Exactly.
So that battle for number 2 between Pegula and Gauff sounds like that's going to be the story to watch heading into the grass season.
Oh, absolutely. Their results in the next few weeks will be crucial for that spot. Okay, Moving on slightly, some other interesting things happening in Rome. Aryna Sabalenka, the top seed, just won Madrid.
Yeah, she got through her opener, okay.
She did. But her next match is a bit spooky, maybe. She plays Sofia Kenin.
Okay.
And Kenin beat her here in Rome last year, in 2023, right after Sabalenka had also just won Madrid.
No way. Talk about deja vu. The tennis calendar throwing up repeats?
Exactly. It's fascinating. You have to think there's a psychological element there. Sabalenka will remember that loss. It's a test, you know? Kenin's playing well, too.
Definitely one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, men's side, Arthur Fils versus Stefanos Tsitsipas. That's got people talking too.
Yeah, because Fils is actually 2-0 against Tsitsipas already, which is, pretty impressive for the younger guy against someone like Tsitsipas.
Especially on clay, which Tsitsipas calls his best surface.
Right, so this match feels like a real test. Has Fils sort of overtaken him even on clay? His confidence seems high this season.
Okay, and then there's Bianca Andreescu. She's making another comeback. Always good to see her back.
It really is, and she seems to be approaching this one differently, maybe. She's won back-to-back matches at a 1,000 event for the first time since, 2023.
That's a positive sign.
And she beat Donna Vekic, a top 20 player. That's her first top 20 win this season.
And she's made some pretty big off-court changes too, I read. New racket diet changes.
Yeah, switched to Yonex, gone gluten and dairy-free, and she mentioned being 6 months sober. That's a lot of commitment.
For sure. Sounds like a very holistic approach this time.
Yeah, and she said she feels motivation like she did back in juniors, which is, well, that sounds really positive, doesn't it? Like a real reset.
Definitely hope it works out for her.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on a tournament level, Rome has equal prize money this year, right? ATP and WPA?
That's right, a big milestone. The champions, men's and women's, both get 985,000, 30, and 1,000 ranking points. It's a really important step for equality in the sport.
Good to see. And player news on the men's side, Jannik Sinner's back.
Yep, Sinner's returning here after that retrospective doping ban related to the Australian Open situation.
Okay. And Alcaraz is playing, but he had that arm injury recently.
He is playing, yeah, despite the injury. Adds a bit of an unknown factor for him. But Novak Djokovic pulled out.
Right. So Sinner's return will be watched closely. Alcaraz playing potentially hurt. And no, Djokovic definitely opens up that side of the draw.
For sure. Lots of opportunity there. And one last thing, kind of interesting admin news from the WTA.
Oh, yeah.
They've started putting out preliminary player entry lists for future tournaments much earlier. Places like Parma, Paris, Strasbourg, Rabat.
Okay. That seems like a good move. More transparency.
Yeah, fans on the tennis forum seem pretty happy about it. It's a step forward. I mean, the lists aren't perfect, yet no qualifiers included, not in the PDF format some prefer.
But it's a start.
Exactly. And people are already discussing them. The order players are listed who might withdraw. It's generating engagement, which is probably what they wanted.
So, yeah, as you can see, Rome is just, it's a real hotbed of stories right now. You've got the personal, the political, like with Kostyuk and Kasatkina. Then the big competitive shifts, Swiatek and Pegula losing, the ranking implications.
Right.
And these inspiring comebacks like Andreescu trying to get back to the top again.
It really is. It's just a fascinating snapshot of where pro tennis is at right this moment. It's constantly changing.
Absolutely.
Right.
And this look at Rome, it kind of leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it? In this world where sports are so connected to everything else, how do these personal things, the political things, how do they intersect on the court?
Yeah.
And what responsibility, if any, do individual athletes have when they're navigating these really complex global issues right in the public eye?
That's a deep question.
It is. Definitely something to mull over as you watch the rest of the tournament unfold.